All right, interpreting interactions, revising main effects in the presence of revising our conclusions about main effects in the presence of an interaction. The key question in interpreting interactions is, what's the effect of factor A across the levels of factor B? Another way to say this is, the difference between the northerners and the southerners in terms of their aggression the same in the not bumped condition as it is in the bumped condition? If it is the same, if the answer is no, there's no difference, we don't have an interaction. If there is a difference, meaning that it depends where you're from, if you get upset by being bumped and insulted, then there is an interaction. And when we have an interaction, it's up to us to explain what the interaction is telling us. That's the big piece there. We have to explain it. We have to make sense of it. That's the hardest thing that we'll do in this class, is we'll have to figure out, okay, how do I explain this interaction effect? Similarly with the main effects, when we have an interaction, we have to think carefully about the main effects. We have to ask, is this main effect there because it exists or because the interaction made it happen? We often say main effects are qualified by an interaction, and that's a recognition that sometimes those statistical main effects are just a byproduct of having that interaction. So we had a main effect for region. Overall, we saw that Southerners were more aggressive than Northerners. But again, we're just comparing. We're collapsing across the different research conditions. So we don't know if it's just one piece driving it. We want to ask if that was true for both the bumped and the not bumped conditions. If it was true for both, it'd be a true main effect. But if it was true really only for one condition, it would be a main effect produced by the interaction. Similarly, we want to ask about a main effect for condition. Bumped overall was more aggressive than not bumped overall. But was this true for both Northerners and Southerners? If it was true for both of them, then it would be a true effect. If it was true for only one of them, it would be that the main effect was produced by an interaction. And there was an interaction. We want to get at what did that look like. So here is our interaction. What do we see? Well, we see that everybody gets a little upset when they're bumped and insulted, even the Northerners. Their testosterone levels went up by 2 points. However, the Southerners, their testosterone levels went up by like 10 points. So much stronger effect for being bumped and insulted on the Southerners versus the Northerners. That's what the interaction looks like. Everybody gets a little upset by being bumped and everybody gets upset by being bumped and insulted. However, the Southerners had a much stronger reaction to it. So whether where you were from did make a difference in terms of how you reacted. Southerners got really angry at this, whereas Northerners are a little annoyed. Thinking about the North versus South differences. Was the North more aggressive overall? Not really in the not bumped, not insulted condition, but definitely in the other one. So I would say that that's an effect that's mostly produced by the interaction. For the research condition, you could argue it both ways. I'd say that since being bumped and insulted almost doubled the testosterone of the folks who were from the North versus the really large effect that we had from the South, then we could say that overall there was an effect for being bumped and insulted. Yeah, and well, that's what I just answered. Is the main effect by region driven by the interaction? Is the main effect of condition driven by the interaction? I just answered those two using those other slides, which is probably why there's 75 slides here. Don't mind me, I'm just fumbling with the computer.